Barbecue is supposed to be honest food. Slow smoke, real meat, real time. That's the whole promise. But beef prices just hit record territory, and it's exposing which chains were built on that promise and which ones were just borrowing time. Some of these names have been trusted for decades. Others were already running on fumes long before the price of brisket became a convenient excuse. 9 to avoid. 3 still doing it right. Grab a napkin, this gets messy. Number 9. Sticky Fingers. Sticky Fingers opened its doors in 1992 and grew into a genuine Southern institution, 15 locations deep across South Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida. It was built by founders Todd Eichscheid, Jeff Goldstein, and Chad Waldorf on smoked meats and a tangy signature sauce. Then the founders sold. And the company changed hands again and again. By the chain's own admission on its current website, that revolving door of ownership led to a decline in food quality and service, and eventually a decline in sales. That is not a customer complaint. That is the company describing itself. Few brands are willing to put that kind of admission in permanent writing on their own website for every future customer to read. COVID made things worse before they could get better. The chain went from 11 locations down to just 2. It clawed its way back up to 4, spread across Greenville, North Charleston, and Summerville in South Carolina, plus 1 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And in March of 2025, it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection anyway. That made it the second barbecue-adjacent chain with a nearly identical name to land in bankruptcy court in recent years. An unrelated New York chicken tender chain called Sticky's had filed the year before, close enough in branding that industry reporters had to specifically clarify. The two companies share nothing but a name. A brand that publicly confesses its own decline in writing deserves some credit for honesty. It just doesn't change what's on the plate. And it doesn't undo years of inconsistent ribs served under owners who, by the company's own account, cared more about the balance sheet than the smoker. If a chain admitting its own downfall doesn't shake your confidence in the barbecue industry, wait until you see the next one. Coming up, a hometown favorite with over a decade of loyalty that vanished almost overnight, with barely any warning to its own regulars. Number 8. Ray Ray's Hog Pit. Ray Ray's had been smoking meat in Columbus, Ohio since 2009. It built its identity around what it called old-school smoke with new-school magic. That kind of scrappy, community-rooted branding is exactly the story that's supposed to survive a downturn. It didn't. Regulars who had been ordering the same pulled pork sandwich for years found out about the closures the same way everyone else did, through a headline rather than a heads-up from the restaurant itself. In December of 2025, the chain's parent company, Smoke Ring LLC, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in the United States Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of Ohio. The warning signs had already shown up on the ground. The Johnstown and Marion locations both shut their doors on November 12, 2025. The Linworth food truck closed the same month as part of what the company called a broader consolidation effort. By the time the bankruptcy filing hit, only 4 Ray Ray's locations remained standing out of what had been a decade-long local footprint. The company now has to submit a formal reorganization plan to the bankruptcy court by March 19, 2026. Whether it survives in any real form depends almost entirely on whether ground beef prices, which climbed roughly 11% in a single year according to Federal Reserve data, ever come back down. A hometown favorite going bankrupt because of a national commodity crisis is not a story about bad barbecue or bad management. It's proof that local loyalty, no matter how genuine, isn't thick enough to outrun a nationwide beef shortage on its own. Before we get into the other chains, go ahead and hit subscribe right now. Just ahead, a punk rock smokehouse with a cult following that got dismantled piece by piece in bankruptcy court. Number 7. Pig Floyd's Smokehouse. Pig Floyd's built a genuine cult following in the Orlando area. It had the kind of punk rock, tiki mug, smokehouse identity that felt like the anti-chain answer to everything corporate barbecue was getting wrong. Customers loved it precisely because it didn't feel manufactured. In March of 2026, the company behind it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in the Middle District of Florida Bankruptcy Court, case number 26-01774. The filing listed assets in the range of $0 to $100,000 against liabilities running as high as $10 million. The Lee Road location in Winter Park is now being handed off entirely to a new local operator. That operator plans to replace it with an entirely different restaurant concept. Owner Thomas Ward told his team, and later confirmed publicly on Instagram, that his focus throughout the transition has been on supporting his staff. Lee Road team members were offered the chance to apply for open positions at the remaining Mills Avenue locations. That's a decent way to handle a hard situation. It doesn't change the fact that a beloved independent smokehouse, the kind of place regulars treated like a neighborhood secret, is now being dismantled piece by piece in bankruptcy court. Small, scrappy, and independent was supposed to be the advantage that let a place like Pig Floyd's dodge the problems plaguing the big chains. It wasn't enough. Next up is a national name built on one founder's personal story about learning to smoke ribs as a kid. Number 6. Famous Dave's. Famous Dave's grew into a genuine national name. More than 100 locations spread across 30 states, plus outposts in Canada and the United Arab Emirates. All of it was built on the personal story of founder Dave Anderson learning to smoke ribs outside his family's home in northern Wisconsin. That founder-built authenticity was the entire brand. Then, the parent company, BBQ Holdings, went on an acquisition spree that had nothing to do with barbecue at all. It swallowed Granite City Food and Brewery, Baker's Square, Village Inn, and Champ's American Grill. In September of 2022, BBQ Holdings itself was acquired by MTY Food Group, a sprawling Montreal-based conglomerate. MTY now owns dozens of unrelated restaurant brands under one roof, everything from Cold Stone Creamery and TCBY to Wetzel's Pretzels, Baja Fresh, and Taco Time. That merger alone triggered around a dozen Famous Dave's closures within about a year, according to Nation's Restaurant News. More followed. In December of 2024, the chain quietly shut its last 2 remaining Western Washington locations in Tacoma and Tukwila. The franchise owner announced the closure on social media rather than through any corporate statement. Dave Anderson himself resigned from his executive role at the company back in 2014. He reportedly did so after growing frustrated with management, pushing an aggressive expansion strategy that clashed with his own emphasis on authentic, regionally rooted barbecue. He watched from the outside as the brand he built kept getting folded into bigger and bigger portfolios anyway. A restaurant chain built on one man's personal story about learning to smoke meat as a kid is now a single-line item buried inside a foreign conglomerate's earnings report, sitting alongside frozen yogurt and soft pretzels. Coming up, a chain that once called itself the largest rib chain in the world and has shrunk down to just 9 restaurants left in the entire country. Number 5. Tony Roma's. In the 1990s and 2000, Tony Roma's genuinely earned the right to call itself the largest casual dining chain in the world, specializing in ribs. At its peak, the company operated somewhere between roughly 170 and nearly 200 domestic locations. It anchored high-visibility tourist corridors, including the entrance to Universal Studios in Orlando and a storefront in the heart of Times Square. Then came a 1998 recapitalization that loaded the company with more than $110 million in high-interest debt to fund an aggressive expansion strategy. Revenue actually climbed for a couple of years. Then it all went downhill with the parent company, Roma Corp, filing for bankruptcy by 2005. The bleeding never really stopped after that. Domestic locations slid from over 240 at their absolute peak down to around 100 by 2021, then kept sliding. As of late 2025, Tony Roma's United States footprint has shrunk to just 9 restaurants, not 90. 9. A brand that once had a genuine claim to global dominance in its category has been reduced to a rounding error. That's true even as a newer ownership group keeps announcing ambitious plans to expand and franchise the brand back into relevance. Plans that, so far, have yet to translate into restaurants people can actually walk into. A collapse from nearly 200 domestic locations down to 9 isn't a rough patch or a market correction. It's a company running almost entirely on nostalgia at this point, and nostalgia doesn't keep a dining room open. If watching a founder's legacy get diluted into a spreadsheet bothers you, hit like and share before this list gets any darker. Just ahead is a chain that built an empire of 1,000 locations worldwide on Texas brisket. Number 4. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. Dickey's built an empire on Texas-style brisket and one of the most aggressive franchise expansion strategies in the entire barbecue category. At one point, it claimed roughly 1,000 locations worldwide, with restaurants stretching from Dallas to Dubai to Tokyo. The cracks underneath that growth have become impossible to ignore. In 2020, hackers breached Dickey's payment processing systems, exposing customer card data at locations across the country between April of 2019 and October of 2020. The company ultimately settled the resulting class action lawsuit for $2,350,000. Separately, a group of Dickey's franchisees filed suit in 2024 against the company and a lender. They alleged Dickey's used deliberately inflated financial projections to lure them into signing on, reportedly quoting opening costs as low as $323,789, when the real-world range for actually opening a location typically ran between $800,000 and a full $1 million. The underlying business has been shrinking under that weight the entire time. Dickey's lost 83 net domestic units in fiscal year 2024 alone, according to its own franchise disclosure documents. Sales plunged 18.1% that same year as 17.7% of its restaurants closed for good, leaving the chain with just 386 units by year's end. A Michigan franchise operator running 4 separate Dickey's locations, Smoke & Dutchman Holdings, filed its own Chapter 11 bankruptcy in September of 2024. It blamed the franchisor directly for what it described as extreme and unreasonable demands placed on its resources. Dickey's isn't shy about admitting it either, at least in the fine print. Restaurant Dive reported that the chain has been struggling recently with low unit volumes and store closures. Language that reads a lot like an obituary in progress for a brand still technically open for business in nearly 400 locations. Franchisees interviewed for that same reporting described opening a Dickey's as one of the most expensive on-ramps in fast casual barbecue, precisely the opposite of what the original sales pitch promised them. A payment card breach, a franchisee fraud lawsuit, and a shrinking footprint aren't 3 unrelated bad years happening to the same company. They're one long connected pattern of a franchisor squeezing operators while the customer experience quietly erodes underneath them. A company that once bragged about being the largest privately held barbecue chain in the country is now the subject of the exact lawsuits that phrase was supposed to protect it from. Up next, a 27-year-old chain that got quietly converted into sports bars, one location at a time, then vanished from the entire country in a single announcement. Number 3. Smoky Bones. Smoky Bones opened its first location in August of 1999 under Darden Restaurants, the same parent company that built Olive Garden into a household name. It spent the next quarter-century bouncing between owners, Darden until 2007, then private equity firm Sun Capital Partners until 2023, then Fat Brands. Fat Brands' priorities became obvious fast. The company began quietly converting Smoky Bones locations into its Twin Peaks sports bar concept instead. It explained in a press release that 2 completed conversions were already generating average unit volumes of roughly $7,800,000, compared to only about $3,500,000 as a Smoky Bones. The math made the decision for them. The end came faster than anyone outside the company expected. 14 Smoky Bones locations closed with 0 warning to employees or the public on January 12, 2026. Parent companies. Fat Brands and Twin Hospitality filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection 2 weeks later, on January 26, listing between $1 billion and $10 billion in combined assets and liabilities in a case built to shed years of accumulated debt. In a later court filing, the company permanently closed 32 more company-owned locations across the Smoky Bones, Johnny Rockets, and Yala Mediterranean banners in a single motion, rejecting the leases outright to eliminate nearly $500,000 a month in payments. Then, on April 28, 2026, at the end of that process, every single remaining Smoky Bones location in the entire country closed for good. A note posted to the company's website simply read, After 27 incredible years, Smoky Bones has officially closed its doors. 27 years of barbecue, gone in a single announcement most customers never saw coming. Reporters who visited shuttered locations the morning after found handwritten notices taped to the doors. No corporate signage, no formal press release timed to the closure, just a paper sign telling regulars the restaurant they'd driven to was already gone. Some analysts had predicted this outcome months earlier. One industry report noted that Smoky Bones was, though profitable, considering the menu is highly focused on entrees such as steak and brisket, which have faced steep price increases, language that reads today like a diagnosis nobody in charge chose to treat. That's not a chain in decline anymore. That's a chain that no longer exists anywhere in America. Coming up, an entire barbecue scene collapsing at once. Independent pitmasters shutting their doors one after another for the exact same reason. Number 2. The Texas Pitmaster Collapse. This next entry isn't a single chain. It's an entire scene buckling under the same pressure at once, and it might be the clearest sign yet of how deep this crisis actually runs. Brett's BBQ shop closed at the end of 2025. Owner Sean Jones told reporters that beef prices had become absolutely insane, with brisket, his single biggest seller, eating straight into his margins. Kirby's BBQ, a longtime favorite in New Caney near Houston, shut down for the exact same reason within the same stretch. Sabar Barbecue in Fort Worth followed soon after, landing on the same list of closures tied directly to sky-high beef costs. The numbers behind these closures are staggering. Beef prices climbed a full 51% between February of 2020 and September of 2025, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics data. USDA figures point to a shrinking national cattle herd, sitting at roughly a 75-year low as the underlying driver, worsened by drought conditions and rising global demand. Industry analysts now warn that ground beef could approach $10 a pound by the third quarter of 2026, with no meaningful price relief expected until sometime in 2027 at the earliest. Unlike a burger chain that can quietly steer customers toward chicken sandwiches to protect its margins, a barbecue restaurant built its entire identity, its entire menu, and its entire reason for existing around beef. There's no pivot available. The exact meat that made these places famous is now the same meat that's closing their doors, one independent pitmaster at a time. If independent pitmasters with loyal, decades-long followings and none of the corporate overhead weighing them down still can't survive this, imagine what it takes down next. Just ahead is the single most decorated pitmaster in the country. Number 1. Rodney Scott's BBQ. Rodney Scott is a James Beard Award winner, one of the most decorated and respected pitmasters working in America today. He's the kind of name that single-handedly turned whole hog, South Carolina-style barbecue into a national conversation. His reputation is not the problem here, and it's important to say that clearly. His business partner is. Nick Pahakis co-founded Jim and Nick's BBQ with his father back in 1985 and eventually sold that chain of more than 60 locations to private equity firm Rourke Capital Group in 2017. He poured the proceeds of that sale into an aggressive expansion of Rodney Scott's BBQ, growing it from a single Charleston restaurant into 6 locations spread across 4 states, alongside a slew of unrelated new restaurant concepts under his Pahakis Restaurant Group umbrella. By the spring of 2026, that expansion had unraveled into roughly $14 million in lawsuits and liens. A commercial real estate developer who leased multiple properties to the restaurant group filed liens claiming more than $12 million in unpaid rent across Alabama alone. Separately, a Delaware-based lender, Itria Ventures, sued Rodney Scott's BBQ, its holding entity, and Pahakis personally. The lawsuit alleged default on a $350,000 loan that carried a nearly 26% annual interest rate, with total damages sought exceeding $364,000. On May 3, 2026, at exactly 5 p.m., every single Rodney Scott's whole hog BBQ location, Charleston, Atlanta, Nashville, Homewood, Trussville, and Valley Post, closed simultaneously until further notice. Weeks later, Pahakis personally filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, listing roughly $44 million in total liabilities against only about $10,600,000 in assets. To be fair, and it matters here, Scott himself was not personally named as a defendant in the lender's lawsuit. Longtime regulars in Charleston have gone out of their way to say publicly that they don't blame him for what happened to his own restaurant. One customer, Billy Fung, put it plainly to a local news crew standing outside the locked doors. "It's more the group he's associated with. If we give him a little grace this time, when he's back up and running, we can support him again." The original Scott's BBQ in Hemingway, South Carolina, run by Scott's uncle and son, and never affiliated with Pihakis at all, remains completely untouched by any of this. But the name on the building and the reputation he spent a career earning is now shuttered indefinitely while the courts untangle someone else's debt. Cars still lined up at the drive-thru on the very last day before anyone realized it was the last day. Loyal customers walked away with their orders that afternoon having no idea it would be their final trip. If the single most celebrated pitmaster in the country can lose his own restaurants to a partner's overextension, no amount of talent, awards, or reputation is enough to guarantee the lights stay on tomorrow. Next up, 3 chains that faced the exact same beef prices burying everyone else on this list and figured out how to survive them anyway. These 3 prove slow and steady still wins. Number 3. Rudy's Country Store and BBQ. Rudy's traces back to 1929, when it started as a Texas gas station and grocery store in Leon Springs. It didn't even add barbecue to the menu until 1989. Since then, it has grown slowly and organically to roughly 50 locations spread across 6 states, without a single bankruptcy filing, private equity buyout, or acquisition churn showing up anywhere in its history. Texas Monthly went as far as calling it the best statewide barbecue chain in Texas, and Arnold Schwarzenegger reportedly called it the best of the best after a visit. The building itself started as a 1929 gas station run by the Au family. When Doc Holliday added barbecue to the menu in 1989, he half-jokingly slapped the slogan, "Worst barbecue in Texas," on the sign. A bit of self-deprecating humor that only worked because the food underneath it was anything but. It still runs on 100% oak-fired pits and a family sauce recipe passed down for generations. It still pulls consistent 4.5-star ratings from customers who've been coming back for decades. Slow, patient, self-funded growth turned out to be the advantage this entire list is missing. Next up, an Ohio chain that refused to chain itself to one single regional style and kept growing steadily while its rivals collapsed all around it. Number 2. City BBQ. City BBQ, headquartered in Dublin, Ohio, built a hybrid barbecue style deliberately, one that doesn't chain itself to a single regional tradition. Industry analysts point to that choice as exactly why it has continued expanding steadily while Dickey's and Famous Dave's were contracting around it. It has stayed largely outside the wave of bankruptcy filings and messy conglomerate acquisitions hitting nearly everyone else on this list. It grew instead through catering contracts, community fundraisers, and a menu built to stand on its own, rather than get measured against a specific hometown style and found lacking. That deliberate refusal to overcommit to one single regional identity has become the very thing keeping it out of bankruptcy court, while its more rigid competitors keep losing ground. It's proof a regional chain can scale without losing the plot. Just ahead, a veteran founded a chain that kept every single location company owned, so quality control never got diluted the way it did everywhere else on this list. Number 1. Mission BBQ. Mission BBQ opened its very first location on September 11, 2011, built from the ground up by veterans as a direct tribute to service members, firefighters, police officers, and every first responder they could think to honor. It has deliberately avoided the traditional franchising model that hollowed out chains like Dickey's, keeping every one of its roughly 107 locations company-owned, so quality control never gets diluted the way it did everywhere else on this list. The chain says its meats are never microwaved and never frozen. It backs up the patriotic branding with real action, donating meals and money to organizations like the USO, Wreaths Across America, and the Honor Flight Network. Reviews consistently single out the brisket, the pulled pork, and staff who actually seem to care. Every day at noon, the dining room stands for the Pledge of Allegiance. One Yelp reviewer summed up the whole model in a single line. The chain doesn't offer a standard veteran discount, but it will hand any veteran a free dessert without being asked. a small gesture that says more about the culture running the kitchen than any marketing campaign could. That kind of deliberate, unhurried growth is exactly what kept the mission and the meat intact. 9 chains got caught by bad ownership, crushing debt, or a beef market that finally stopped forgiving corner cutting. Sticky Fingers admitted its own decline in writing. Ray's and Pig Floyd's got buried by a decade of neighborhood loyalty that beef prices didn't care about. Famous Dave's became a footnote in a foreign conglomerate's spreadsheet. Tony Roma's shrank from 200 restaurants to 9. Dickey's franchisees are suing the company that recruited them. Smoky Bones doesn't exist anymore at all. Independent Texas pitmasters are closing month after month. And even a James Beard Award winner couldn't outrun a business partner's $44 million in debt. 3 chains proved something different. That barbecue built slowly, owned by people who actually show up to work every day, can survive the exact same beef prices currently burying everyone else on this list. Check who actually owns your favorite smokehouse before your next order. Vote with the smoke. Thanks for watching. Click on the next video on your left, where I ranked the 5 worst and 5 best steakhouses in the US in 2026, because the same beef crisis wrecking these barbecue chains is hitting steak even harder.